got a testimony. I've got a story to say. This is my story, this is my song. And rain came, rain blew. My house was built on him. And I'm safe in you. I surely made it through. I surely made it through. Listen, let me tell you about my God, okay? Let me tell you about my Jesus real quick. If this is your first time, seeing me or watching me, or like you randomly clicked on this video, you might want to watch my last video, right? So this can make more sense to you, to get like more storyline. But in my last video, I spoke about how I literally was unemployed for like a year and change. The Lord blocked every financial resources. I was literally down to the last bit of my savings and I was done, and he definitely came through. He came through. I believe it was a test of faith season, and also he needed me to really sit down so he can really pour into me. I mean, I had him to myself uninterrupted for like a year and change. Like I literally was here with Jesus the whole year and a half. So yeah, this is like a continuation. English is not my first language. This is like a continuation. I didn't think I was gonna make a part 2 really quickly like this, but he showed up, but I knew he was going to though. He brought me here on this earth. And so it only makes sense. And this is going to be a really short video. I just want to share my testimony with y'all. And okay, let's dive right into the video, because if you leave me out for days. So after I put out the video, right, I made that video for a reason. Number one, it was just me kind of like showing how much I trust God with the world. And even though when I made that video, there was no signs of a breakthrough. There was nothing at all. Nothing in the works, nothing. It was blurry. Listen, there was no sign that something will pop up before I lose everything. So it could have went either ways. But I was so convicted in my spirit that God will come through for me because he's my father. And so he will take care of me. He said in his word, and I keep repeating this, he will never leave nor forsake me. I believe it. And so it was kind of like me sharing, my faith and how much I trust this God that I have found or who found me with the world. And so we all can see how the story unfold, right? But I knew it was going to be a beautiful one. And then number 2, it was also to show other people who are struggling to trust God that yes, indeed, you can trust God and he would never forsake his children, right? And then number 3, it was for me because I'm on a spiritual journey. The Lord is teaching me so much. He's pruning me. He is building me. He is literally resetting me, right? My mindset, my everything from the world to now walking with him. I needed to take that step. And when I say take that step, this might confuse a lot of people, but spiritually, we were at that point where we needed to put the last kiss completely to death and bury her. And I pray that God will somehow give you the grace to understand what I'm saying. But we were at that point where, that ego I had or that pride I had to show the world that my life was perfect, right? When in reality it wasn't. We needed to kill that. We needed to bury the known and step into the unknown with God. That persona I had, that character that I played for so long, when I found God, he revealed to me, that is not you, Kes. And so we needed to completely bury that persona, that character, right? Stargirl Kes. We needed to bury Stargirl Kes, and then Kes Global resurrected. And so that was what took place. And so I needed to take that step to actually move into my next level of the journey. In a good time, I will explain it a little better. And so, yeah, let's just jump right into it. So So after I made the video, right, the very next day, I got a random text from a recruiter with an opening. And, you know, initially I'm like, listen, I've been applying to so many jobs. It's probably gonna end up like one of these other jobs that I applied to and didn't hear nothing back. And so I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. But I'm like, I'm gonna just shoot him a text back and he can just put me through and submit me. But I'm not really thinking much about it. So he submitted me that day, right? Now the next day, the following day after that, he texts me again. But you would think recruiters will only reach out when they hear good news, but he texts me with actually a bad news, like, hey Kessel, I'm just updating you. I haven't heard anything from the organization yet, and so I'll keep you in the loop. And so I'm like, okay, I don't think this is going anywhere either. So I went about my regular business. The following day after this day, he write me again with a bad news, and I'm just like, at this point, you must be up to something, because like you really don't have to text me every day telling me there's no good news, like reminding me there's no good news, you know. And so yeah, he ended up texting me like 3 consecutive times with bad news about this offer. And so at this point, I'm just like, it might not work. And so I just took my mind off of it. Exactly a week after the video, after the previous video, I get a random call, not from the recruiter. This is really a random number. And usually I don't answer random numbers, but something just quickened my spirit to answer it. So I answered the call, and it was this lady on the phone like, hey, Kessoa, are you available for an interview? I'm just like, but God. So I'm just like, yeah, sure. Mind you, when the call came, I was in a nail salon, right, with my mom. She was traveling, so I took her to the nail salon to get her nails done. But I'm like, yeah, we gotta do that interview now. And so I did an interview in the nail salon, but the interview was literally like a minute long. Really straight to the point, almost like she just ran through like the offer and the description to me, basically. But it's just amazing the way God does what he does, because when he does it, you just know God's fingerprint is on this one. I haven't even gotten to the juicy part, you know? But listen, too supernatural. Now, listen, sit down, because the appetizers is coming. So now the best part, on that 1-minute interview call, the lady only had one job, to just interview and keep it going. And so we get off the phone, and then I reach out to my recruiter, because he didn't even know they had reached out to me for an interview. And that's how you know this is God working, because usually the recruiter is actually the one that would tell you to look out for a random number, because, you know, an interview is coming in soon. But the recruiter didn't even know nothing about it. God said, listen, I'm gonna handle this directly, okay? But it was a slip up. She, I guess, accidentally released how much they were paying me, like the original pay to me. And usually that's not how it's done. You know, usually they disclose that information to the recruiter, and then the recruiter would communicate his rate to you. So it's like a third person thing. So she wasn't supposed to disclose that to me. But somehow, by God, she revealed that to me. And so I knew exactly how much they were paying me to the company I'm about to work with. And even though the offer the recruiter gave me was really good, I seen how much they were paying them. And I'm like, that's how much you're charging them? And to be honest, I wasn't gonna say anything about it. I was just gonna roll with it, you know. But I just felt a quickening in my spirit to just like bring it up. Not like to stir up anything, but just to bring it up to him so he knows I'm aware, or that had happened in the interview. And so I just shoot him a text like, hey, I believe she had mentioned this is how much they paying me. But that's not what you communicated to me. But I just wanted you to know, you know. And I know he got cold in that moment. he got real cold, because it's like, You're not supposed to know that, right? So immediately I shoot him that text. I see him calling me, and then he's like, so I'm so sorry that happened. It rarely happens. You were not supposed to know that. She wasn't supposed to disclose that to you, because usually, you know, they pay us a certain rate, or we charge a certain rate, and then us as a company, we offer a certain rate to you. Basically, that's what he was saying. And I was cooling. I was just like, oh, it's fine. I mean, I wasn't bringing it up to, you know, stir up anything. I'm okay. He was like, no, I don't want us to start off on the wrong foot, and so I'm going to offer you a raise. But God, he's like, I'm gonna give you a raise. I'm gonna offer you more than I offered before. And so I was like, okay, no problem. You know, I was very professional with it. But and so I got a raise in that moment. So now he has to go and alter the offer again so I can sign the new one, right? The new updated one. So I'm excited. So we get off the phone in like maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes tops. He's calling me back. And I'm just like, what could he be calling me about, right? And so I picked up the call, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I'm blowing up your phone. But I just wanted you to know there's another good news. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, the company that you are going to be working with raised the pay rate again for the position that you are going for. I'm like, how? And so I had to come back to you to give you another raise. Another raise. In 5 minutes, another raise. And I'm just in my head like, this has to be God. Because there's no way, because they had already rolled over the offer to my recruiter. So how are they raising it again? We already accepted it. Like, my recruiter already accepted it. I'm only left to sign it. But then they came back like the organization just raised it, miraculously raised it again. It makes no sense, but that is the ways of God. So literally the offer was updated 3 times in a span of like maybe 10 minutes. And this is the funny part about this story. But this is how you know I was so rested in God and was not moved by my situation. Because when the recruiter altered the offer for the second time, right, and gave me the last raise, he sent the offer to my the updated offer to my email. He's like, hey, can you just go through the offer real quick and just, you know, sign it so we can start the process? I said, yeah, okay, I'll look at it. But I wasn't even desperate to sign it, like, I finally can breathe. No, I was breathing. I've been breathing. It hit me 2 days ago that really, Cass, you got that offer and was just so relaxed about it. Like, you wasn't down to your last bits in your account. Like, I was so nonchalant about it still. Like, no, but yeah, he had to remind me the next day to sign the offer. Like, so can you sign the offer, please, so we can roll? But listen, that is what God does. That is what Jesus does. He boosts your confidence in him. You don't chase money. Money starts to chase you. Every other thing becomes secondary. You walk gracefully into your blessings. Not in a rush, not in desperation, not in aggressiveness. You walk gracefully into your blessings and you claim it because you know this is mine, and nobody, absolutely nobody, can take it away from me. It came from the Father. And so they come the second day to remind you to sign the offer. To be truly open and transparent, right? As happy as I am that this opening, you know, this door just opened, I know that this is just the beginning. I know that this is just to prepare me for what he has actually called me to do for his kingdom. And so I'm really thrilled. I thank God And I just want to encourage anyone watching that is like struggling with their faith in God. You can trust God. You can trust God. Because like totally few days after I made the video, I didn't know how the story was gonna end up. I didn't know how the story was gonna end. But I knew God was going to come through for me. If I be a child of God, He has to come through for me. Just didn't know when it was going to happen. And to be honest, it happened quicker than I anticipated, you know. But that's God's ways. He does it and it's so beautiful. And so that is how this story has turned out immediately. This was like a suddenly moment. But I'm very happy. Everything is just falling into place so fast, so quickly, effortlessly. No energy involved at all. Because that is the ways of God. We are not supposed to be struggling for anything. This is just a scratch of it. This is just like, God is like, let me give you a little taste of what is to come so you can see what is in store for you. If you just surrender, if you just yield, if you just submit, right? You know, the year and change that I was applying for jobs and not getting anything, my gaze was still fixed on Him. I never once doubted that God would come through for me. And I never saw the situation getting out of control. I never saw me packing my stuff out of my apartment in tears because God didn't come through. No. This is God we're talking about here. My bed is too huge to take apart. And so I knew it really wasn't gonna like get there. Anybody that saw me within that period, that year and change where no funds was coming in, where I didn't have a job, you still saw this girl who was lit up. You still saw this girl who just received the good news. I was still lit up. I was still very much present, just radiating in His sovereignty, right? In His lordship. I knew I had a covering. I knew I had a backing. And so I was never once like worried or like head down. No, I still had my chin very much up and my crown very much on. And the enemy knew better not to whisper anything that was contradictory to the word of God. He knew I have come too far. He knew I would not mind him. I am fully persuaded. I am fully convinced. I have found home. Home is right here with God. So yeah, I hope this bless you. I just hopped on here to quickly update y'all on how quickly my Father came through for me, and He can do the same for you if you would just, with everything, trust and depend on Him. And so stay blessed. It's Cass. I love you, and I will see you on my next video.